Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the reports webinar for InduSoft Web Studio. Today's March 25th, year 2015. We're going to get started, and for those of you who just joined us, I saw a few of you come in right at the top of the hour. We can't hear you on this type of webinar, so if you have any questions or comments, please put those into the chat panel or the Q&A panel in your WebEx interface, and I'll try to get to those either during the presentation or at the end when we have a questions and answer section. Today's webinar, we're going to obviously cover reports. First, a quick introduction. My name is Scott Courtier. I'm Senior Technical Sales with InduSoft. And today we're going to cover a lot of different things, how to really just use the built-in reporting tools that are within InduSoft Web Studio. And we've got basic text reporting, and we'll take that to another couple steps up above just basic reporting. We'll do a rich text format, comma-separated variable, comma-separated value, depending on how you call that. We'll do an HTML report. We'll talk, show you how to do PDFs as well. There's a built-in PDF writer in InduSoft Web Studio. And then we'll switch a little bit more advanced HTML type stuff and give you an example how to print an invoice using HTML. So hopefully that covers some of the things that you want. We got a list of questions for those of you who actually registered for the webinar. Some of them are not related to the topic at hand, so I'm not going to cover those. If you do have those questions, feel free to contact us. Send us an email at info@indusoft.com. and we'll get anything that you need taken care of. If you have a support question that's outside of the realm of this, there was a handful of database-type questions that came in and some company-type requests. So if you get a hold of us, we'll get you those answers. So today we're going to cover just reporting, make this very specific. I also want to bring up that if you attended our webinar that we had, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago or so, this one's going to be very similar. But looking back at that, the quality of the audio was breaking up while we were recording, as well as we got a lot of requests afterwards. You know, the surveys that I mentioned, a lot of people still requested reporting webinars. So I'd like to give you another one here and get you caught up. And just to let you know, we do read those and we do listen. So when we have you fill out those surveys, let us know what you're wanting to see, and hopefully we can fit it in the schedule and get you some good information. So, okay, let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to switch slides here, if I can click, and we're going to talk about how to do a basic text report, and we're going to walk through examples on all of these. But really, this is just a couple of concepts. We're going to fill out a report worksheet that you can almost think of as a template. We don't call it a template, but when you fill out this worksheet, this is the format of how this report is going to be shown. And then there is a script called the report function that we're going to issue. And for the most part in this webinar, we're going to use buttons to be able to do this, but you could do a lot of automatic things with scripting and other different ways to trigger. Could be scheduler, other different ways to trigger the reports, but just to make it easy to understand what's happening, I'm going to be using buttons on the screen. But again, remember, you could use scripting and segment this up however you wanted to. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up an InduSoft Web Studio application that I started earlier. I'm calling it Report Webinar March in the afternoon. And I haven't created any screens or don't have any tasks in here yet, but what I did before we got started, just to save a little bit of time, is I created some of the tags that we're going to need during this webinar. I have parts per shift, parts per hour, efficiency, and some different things. And I also built some classes that will give us addresses for companies, and then we have a build to and ship to address that are using those classes. And during when we make an invoice later on as an HTML type report, we're going to build those class tags into that report. So again, I've already got a lot of these, most of the tags that we're going to need just to save some time there. So when you see them pop up and not specifically ask for the new tag creation. That's why, because I have a lot of these already in here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is we're going to talk about this task or this report worksheet. It can be found here under the Tasks tab in the Project Explorer. And if we go to Reports and right-click and Insert, it's going to give us this worksheet to create a report. Now I can put a description in here, but really this is for just documentation purposes only. It's going to show up on this tree view, but other than that, it doesn't really give you any purpose other than, again, documentation. So I'm going to call this Production, and just leave that there for now. Now, I could, in this output file name, now try to understand this. We're going to make this template, and then we're going to issue that script command that tells this template, we don't call it a template, we call it a worksheet, that the script command is going to tell this worksheet to then print the report to this file name. So I could type in here production.txt, and every time I ran this report, it would print to that same name. Well, that's maybe not so useful unless you want to print to the same name. But what we're going to do here is we're going to replace this with a string type tag. And I don't know if you noticed, but when I showed you here a minute ago, I already have a string type tag that I created earlier called report name. So what I'm going to do is inside of curly brackets, and we're going to put report name, and then close curly brackets. So it's report name inside of curly brackets, then .txt, so it'll add that extension on every report that we create. Now, in the body of this worksheet, we could put just text if we wanted to, so I'll call this production report. And then maybe I'll put some labels in here, date and time. And inside of here, we can actually embed inside of curly brackets, much the same way that we did with the report name, any tag name or built-in function with inside of curly brackets. So in this case, I'm going to use the date tag, and I'll show you where that comes from in a minute. And then I'll also put in the time tag. Now those are here in the system tags, and they're included, and they don't count against your tag count, but they're right here in the 46 different included system tags that we have that show the day, the date, the year, the second, so on and so forth. So for example, I could put the time in the database SPY here, and you can see that it shows that what time it is here at my location, and I'll go ahead and put the date. And you can see, oh, excuse me, somebody's ringing my doorbell here, but you can see that I have those different formats here, and so that's what will show up in the report when we print that out. Okay, so there's what the date and the time will show up when we have those inside of curly brackets. And just to make sure that I got back online, can somebody give me an audio check in the chat panel, make sure I'm back online okay? And hopefully I'm okay. I don't see anybody chiming in there, but I'm going to continue on because it looks like, okay, good. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so there is maybe the top part of our production report, and maybe we'll segment this off with some hyphens. I'll just put a line of hyphens there. And then maybe I wanted to show my parts per hour. And again, I already had that tag created, so I'm just going to put in there PPH for parts per hour, and then parts per shift. And that was PPS. And then, efficiency. So we'll just abbreviate that, and then we'll do EFF was the other tag. Now what I'm doing is before this project starts, I also wrote here in the startup script, I just set those values in a VB script in the startup script. So they have to be preceded with a $sign, and I just set some values in there so they have something other than zeros. And then maybe at the end of this, again, similar, I'll just put some hyphens in there to delimit that. That's probably the world's simplest production report that you'll ever see. So when I save this, we're going to save this and give it a name, and then I need a way to change the report name tag here, and then I need a way to print this report, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So let me close this, and I'm going to save this as report 1. And okay, and now what we're going to do is go create a screen, and I'll just leave this as the default size. And for those of you who don't have much experience with InduSoft Web Studio, feel free to take a look at our online training videos, or also feel free to attend one of our paid-for trainings down in Austin, Texas. It's a great time of year to do that. I happen to be in the northern United States and always love going to Austin. It's a beautiful area. It's nice and warm. But if you can't travel to the U.S., can't get there, we have all of our training class online as free videos, so feel free to take a look at those. What I'm going to do is grab a piece of text here and give us a way to enter our report name. And when I put pound signs in here, and I'm going to put just enough in here to let me put some names. Once I put the pound signs in there, then I can add the text data link animation to that. And now I can put in since I already have it in here, I can just search for it and put the report name tag in there and make sure that I have enabled the input here. And so we can all see this, because I apologize, my screen might be a little bit small in the webinar, so we'll just make that nice and big. And so that's a way to enter that report name into that tag. And again, when we create this report, what it'll do is put that name in place of this string tag here. So real quick, just to show you this report that I've saved, where is that? Where does that get saved to? If I open up my File Explorer and I navigate to my project for today, that's here, Report Webinar March Afternoon. In the config folder, you're going to see report1.rep. That's that worksheet that I just created. So I'm going to tuck this off screen because we'll use this here in a little bit, I think. And okay, so now I need a way to kind of fire off that report or tell that report to print. And how do we do that? We go here to the help system, and there's a couple of different ways to get at this. I can look at the built-in scripting language. I can search for it. In this case, I know that it happens to be under module activity functions. I just know that from years of use, and that it's here under report. Okay, so the format of this function is the word report and then parameter, what function you want to do, and I'll break that out here in a second, and then optional, the orientation of the report. So the function here is we can either print to disk, save it to the hard disk, print to a printer, the default printer, or print to a PDF. And again, optionally, we can do 0 as portrait or 1 as landscape down here. And give you some examples. Here's an example of report, and then send to the disk report 1. And since I just happen to name my report 1, what I'm going to do is copy this to my clipboard and use that to my advantage. And now, again, I'm going to make a button here. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to make a button, but this could be triggered in many different ways. You could put that report function in 7 or 8 different places within InduSoft Web Studio. There's 7 or 8 different interfaces for the built-in scripting language. I'm just going to put it on a command animation here. And so we'll change the label here. So just to further what I was going to say, I'm going to put it on a button, but I just want to really emphasize you don't have to put it on a button. It could be many different places and happen automatically in the background, if you will. So here I'm going to say print production report to disk. And now that I have, let's see, I'm going to go here into, now I could do this in the built-in scripting. I could put this in the expression here. I think it's just a little bit more easy to use and more readable, but using VBScript, but you don't have to. If I'm going to use that function in VBScript interface, then I have to precede it with a $sign, and then I'm going to paste that function. So it's report, it's going to print to disk. using that report 1 template that I pointed out a minute ago. And after we enter a name, then it's going to report that template, take a snapshot of those tags, and then save it to my project folder. So let's see if we can get this to work. Now I'm going to save this screen. Let's just call this main. And I will make this screen, I'm going to right click here and say set as startup. And when I run, it's going to start this. It's going to give me a chance to enter my name here. I'll call this production. I'll just abbreviate PROD1. And when I hit print to disk, that should have printed that to my project folder. So I had my file Explorer up off the screen here. Let's go back into my project folder here, expand this a little bit. So there's prod1.txt, and you can see there's my production report, the current date and time, and the tag values are already in there. So again, that's about as simple as you can get, and give you some good information, and you can log that and try some different things and how you want your reports saved. So that's the most basic way. So now we're going to build up on this. So let me go ahead and close this and get this out of the way. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to build on this script command here a little bit, and notice that there's a returned value. And this returned value, when you execute this function, it returns a 0 if it was successful, and then some error code or status code if there was a problem. And I found out earlier that if I accidentally mash the function, the operation, and the report name together, it gives me an error code of 3. So we're going to try to do that here. So let me show you how you would accomplish that. So I'm going to minimize this. And on this button, what I'm going to do is say, okay, we're going to create a new tag here called status, and say that when I execute this, the result will dump into this status tag. When I check the script, it says okay. Now the reason that didn't prompt me is because earlier I had created the status tag, I believe, yep, and I made that an integer because that's just going to get one of those values that we saw a second ago. And so now I need a way to display that, and what I'm going to do is I could display that off to the side. In fact, I probably should. One of the things that I did in the morning webinar is I put right in here, I put status inside of curly brackets so that we could see that right on the button. But now that I think about it, it's probably a little bit easier to do and better to do because we're going to probably use that same status throughout the rest of this webinar. What I'm going to do is just put a rectangle off to the side here, and in the caption field I can put status, and again in curly brackets status, and that will give us a status as we go through and add different buttons and feed that back in here. All right, so let's see, I want to cause an error this time. So what I mentioned earlier is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that colon in there and let that operation and the report name all run together. And when I tried this morning, it gave us an error code 3. Let's see if that happens again here. Okay, when I print this, so now let's print this to number 2 and say print. There's my status 3, and I should be able to go back in and see in the help system, oh, that contains an invalid output file type. So that gave me a little bit of clue as to what to do. And now I'll go back in and clean that back up. I got one quick report of some audio issues. Can somebody let me know if they can hear me okay? Is the audio good, bad, or is it just a particular user that's having an issue? That would be great if somebody could follow that up. Okay, so I'm hearing almost everybody else is saying it's okay. So hopefully if you're having one issue, it's just on your end and not for everybody, because almost everybody says everything's fine. So appreciate the feedback, though. I really enjoy that you're active in giving us feedback. Really like that. So, all right, to continue on, I'm going to go back and fix this back up. I'm going to put that colon in there to separate the function from the report type. And okay, so now we're going to continue on with a little bit of an advanced concept. And I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint presentation and show you what we're about ready to do. So what we just did is we used the report function to print that report worksheet to the disk. And we're going to get to these other types here in a little bit. But what I wanted to do is talk about a concept of appending reports. What we find that's very common to do is maybe at the start of a shift, you might print a header for a report. And then within that same document, as the machine is running or your process is running, taking different samples and printing additional lines or more information to that report over and over again, what you might do is print one report that's a header, and then another report that's the body, but when you maybe end that particular cycle, you log that information, but then using that same second report, so this would be one report worksheet, this would be another report worksheet, I'm calling that body 1, I might print the second one and the third one, maybe every end of cycle of the machine, keep printing that same report over and over again, but append, 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 and at the very end of the shift or the production run or the batch, close it all up with totals and maybe a footer report. So printing 3 different reports here, a header, the body, over and over and over again with different data in it, and then closing that all up with a footer at the end. I'm going to give you an example of how we might do that. So what I'm going to do is go back to InduSoft Web Studio, and I'm going to open up this production report here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as report number 2. I'm going to save this as report 2 and say OK. Now this is going to be the header, so I'm just going to give it the name header. And maybe that's what I want in here is just the production report and the date. And I'm going to cut this out of this report. So this header will look like just this. It'll just print the production report title and the date. And so now when I save this, what you'll see is I'll close this, save this, see how it says production header here. Now I can go back in and open that up and change this, paste in what I cut before, and I'll change this to the body, and maybe I'll move this time inside the delimiters here, and I'll keep one space at the top, so every time it prints a new section of data, it puts a space to separate it from the previous data. And then, okay, so we have body, we have that. And again, notice that it's using the report name again. And one of the things I forgot to do on the last one was click on append. So what I'm going to do here is save this as report 3. I already have report 1 and 2, so I'll have that as report 3. I'll go back in and open up report 2 and make sure that I click on the append and close. And I'm not sure if I have to have, let's see, so that's the header, that's the body, and that's the header, that's the body, that's report 3. And maybe for the footer, what we'll do is we could put some totals in here, or in this case what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some additional hyphens in here to just give us a nice clean line at the bottom of this to know where that report ends. And let's see, so now we need to save this one as report 4. All right, so now we need a way to actually issue these. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this button down, and what we'll do is we will issue this with report number 2. We'll go back to the button and we'll say, okay, this is going to be the production header, and I'll just abbreviate that to keep it simple. And then I'll copy this button. Now, if you're not familiar with InduSoft Web Studio's interface, I'm just holding down the control key and then dragging a copy of that button over. So that's a real quick and easy way to do that. And so now I'll change this to 3, which is the body. And I'll go back to the button, and this will be the body. And then one more time, I'll copy this over and make this the footer, which you can see over there in the tree view is number 4. And we will save this and show this as footer. All right, so what I'm going to do when I run this is print the header. Then I'm going to print multiple instances of the body, and I'm going to change the data, and then I'm going to print the footer. Somebody had a comment and caught me that, do you want to append the header? I do in this case. I'm not sure if I have to do that to be able to append the next file to it. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, so now what we should be able to do is save this and run it. And now I'm going to call this production 3, production append 3. And so now what I should be able to do is print the header. Okay, and that should have created that file name out there. Let me pull this File Explorer. So there's my production 3 append, and let me move that off the screen again. And now what I'm going to do is print the body with those values in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the database SPY to change my parts per hour from 20. We'll change that to 33. Our parts per shift, I'll change that from 234 to 333. And then our efficiency, I'll make that 99.9. And then I'll go back to my runtime, print the body again, and I'll just keep those same numbers in there and just print this a handful more times. And then we'll finish it off by printing the footer. Now, I should be able to go grab that file, go over here to my File Explorer. And now my laptop, I happen to have text files associated with Notepad. So when I double click on it, it's going to open up Notepad. And you'll see that header was printed. Then we'll see the first set of data. And then after I changed the values, and then I just reprinted that over and over again using the same values, and then there's my footer. So you can get the idea of how you can append, keep that file open all day long and append to it, and at the end of the shift, end of the day, close it up, and keep that as an appended report. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of how you could use this in your environment. Now, another thing that can be done, let me go ahead and close this, is if we take a look at the help system. Now, I'm not going to print to a real printer because you can't see that, but what I'm going to do is skip to this command, the PDF. And so in place of the disk in that function, I'm going to print directly to PDF. So here's what I can do is I can go back in here. I'm going to copy this first button down and change this to here. We'll do PDF, and I'll still print production 1, and so that will print to PDF, and I'll go back and change this label on here, print production PDF. And now if I save this and run my project, I will go in here and I'll call it, now I'm not going to put in PDF in here because PDF is already in the extension, so I'll just call this prod 4. And when I execute this, you can see the status again is 0, and I should go back to my here, and this is taking a while to generate that PDF in the background. It's printing that, and this will turn it into the PDF, and shortly you'll see that PDF come up. Hopefully I did this right. And let's see. Why didn't that PDF come up? What do we call it? There it is. Okay, it just took a little time to generate that PDF in the background. Double click on this, and what this will do is, in my case, I have Adobe Acrobat is assigned to that PDF file extension. I'll double click on that. It'll open up Adobe Reader, and you can see my production report that I printed just seconds ago. So that's one way to do that. Before I continue on with some of the other reports, what I wanted to, a nice thing to show you here is I'm going to go back and open up my development environment. Let me stop this project. I'm going to go into a project that ships with every installation of InduSoft Web Studio. It's called PC Demo. You can find that on your drive where when InduSoft installs. And in fact, just to make it easy here, what I'll do is I'll point this out to you. So here under Documents, if we, for some reason I'm reverse sorted here, if we go down to InduSoft Web Studio, here's where our projects are stored. InduSoft Web Studio Demo is where PC Demo can be found. And so if we just load this up and take a run at this, I want to point out a couple of different things. First thing is, since we just printed the PDF report, I wanted to give you an example of how you could use, here's one of the features with hyperlink. Here is a hyperlink to a PDF document. Here it's pointing to our Modbus TCP help file. And when I click on that in an application, it launches Adobe Acrobat Reader, and I can read my PDF. So you could use that to view reports if you wanted to, and I'll show you some other ways to do that later on. If I go to the reports section of this demo, you can see here we can print our report and view it, and this should come up in Notepad. And so here's the simple report that was created for this. Oh, sorry, it's trying to launch. I don't know why it's trying to launch that in as an HTML file. We'll uncover that. But I also wanted to show you that we can also do reports in HTML and CSV and rich text format, which I'm going to walk through here in a minute. But before we get into that, let's see. I'm not sure why this is not printing here. We'll get back into that later, so we'll do those as an example. But I just wanted to show you how to bring that PDF file up. So let me go back into today's webinar. All right. So continuing on, the next step is going to be to print a report with a rich text format. So I'm going to insert a new report, and this will be production, and this will be RTF, and I'm going to use that same report name inside of curly brackets, but now instead of .txt, I'm going to call it .rtf for rich text format. And before I can go into the editor here, I have to save this. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save this as report 5, just to give us the next one over here. And go back into this, and when I edit this file, a new editor comes up, which is the ability to edit rich text format. Now, a standard text file is really just text, and rich text, I can actually do things like this. I'm going to put in production report, and I'm going to change the font from Times New Roman to Arial, and we're going to make it a larger font, and I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to change the color of it to red. And so now you should be able to see all that. And when I drop down to the next line, I don't want that to be that same size. So what we'll do is we'll go back to a smaller font here and not bold. And now we'll be able to put in the parts. Let's say I don't want that red either. We'll go back to black here. Parts per shift. And I'm only going to put one piece of data in here because you understand the concept. PPS is my tag, and tags are not case sensitive. And the other thing that I'm going to do is off screen, I have a, at least I did have, let's see, yeah, I have a graphic editor similar to like a Photoshop or a Microsoft Paint that I have the InduSoft logo in, and I'm just going to copy that, come back to this report and hit paste, and paste that logo into this report. So that's a very simplistic production report. I'm going to save that, and you could get much more fancier than that if you wanted to. Go ahead and close that, save this report, and now go back to my screen and give myself a way to print this as a rich text report. So here I'll go back into here, and that is report, let's see, I think it was 5. Let me go double check. Yeah, it's print 5. And I don't want that to go to PDF. Let's go back to disk on this. And let's see, back to the button and change the label on this as RTF. All right, so now I should be able to save this and run it. And this time I'll print the rich text. I'll go back to my, it looks like I closed my File Explorer. Bear with me a second here as I re-navigate to that. Back to here. And, oh, I didn't give it a name. So here it printed my rich text without a name in it. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that file because I mistakenly didn't do this. Production, and I forget what number I was on. We'll just call this number 6 as RTF and print that. And go back, and here we have our production 6. So I'm going to send that one to the recycling bin, and we'll open this one up. Now my computer associates this with Microsoft Word. It might associate it on yours with WordPad or some other application. And so there's that report. Question came in, can you create an appended style report to a PDF file? I don't think you can, because I think that PDF is closed once you've done that. Although I haven't tried it, be really something really easy to try, but I don't think you can, because I think that PDF is kind of finalized at that point. But again, it'd be really easy to try if you wanted to do that. If there was a need to do that for you, let me know and we can give it a try offline. I just got confirmation from one of our guys that says not with the PDF creator that we use, so I can't do that. Good question, good follow-up. Thank you, everybody. All right, so the next thing, let me see how far I am along here in my, so we did the PDF report, we did the rich text, we added graphics and logos, different fonts, different colors. Before I get into the CSV report, one of the things that I wanted to show back here in this report, let me go back into the production report here, this first one, and let's say maybe I wanted to have the mode of the machine, and I could put the mode in here, and that tag, I don't think that tag exists. Let's see if it does. And yeah, it does, because I did this in this morning's webinar. So I made the mode a Boolean tag, and what we'll do is for this report, I'm just going to leave the mode tag in there, and maybe for mode, if it was true or if it was on, it would be in automatic mode, and if it's off, it would be in manual mode. So if I print this report, make sure I have that saved, which I do. If I print this report now, and we'll just put we'll call this mode. And now if I print this, when we go to, did I close the File Explorer again? I did. Apologize for that. We'll go in here. And what we should have is, did I not? There it is. We have the mode, but it shows up as the Boolean value. What I wanted to show you is that in the report worksheet, we can actually use some of the InduSoft scripting commands. And what I'm going to do is inside of these curly brackets, I'm going to use the if function, and I'm going to say if mode equals 1, comma, then print out the word auto, else print out the word manual. And we'll close that, close the parentheses. And now this is a little bit redundant here because mode will evaluate to true or false on its own, so I don't need this. But to make it a little bit more humanly readable, I'm going to leave the equals 1 in there, but you don't really need it. It's like saying if 1 equals 1. So in this case, if the mode is 1, it's going to print the word auto. Otherwise, it'll print the word manual. It looks like, do I have an extra space in there? I don't. I close up the function. That has to have the parentheses around it. Then I close up the curly bracket. So now, when I print this, I run. I should be able to print this, and we'll call this mode with 8. And we'll give that a print. And just come over here. And now it actually shows what mode that was in. So more than just the if statements, you can get the InduSoft scripting language in there and do some logic, and it helps you create a little bit more nice reports, a little bit more cosmetically pleasing, and get you what you want in there. So let me move this off screen before I accidentally close it again. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is a CSV file. Now, CSV is commonly used in text files. It can be used to share information between different types of controllers, things of that nature. It can also be used to bring into Excel. This is one of many ways that we can bring into Excel. Now, there's a few questions on how can we log information to Excel. That will be covered in a different webinar. This is I don't really consider that part of reporting. But I did look beforehand. I thought we had a sample application on our website on how to log to Excel, but we don't. At least I couldn't find it real quick. So maybe we'll generate one of those. And if you have the need for that, you can always contact our technical support. They can help you walk through that. But maybe fairly soon here we'll create a sample application and get it up on the website. But let's take this to the next step. And we'll open up, let's see. Not that report. We'll open up, let's go all the way back to the first one here. All right, so now if I want to create this as a CSV file, instead of logging this as a .text, I would put .csv. And the CSV stands for, if you're not familiar with it, comma separated value or comma separated variable. And now what I would do is in place of the spaces in between here, I'm just going to put commas. And I'll show you some different techniques in opening this and explain what happens when we print this. And what this is going to do is every place there's a comma, it's going to, with the exception of here inside the if statement, it's going to make this a separate column. So the text on the left here will be in one column and the actual date will be in the next column over, so on and so forth. And so if we save this as, I'm going to save this as report number 6 and go back to here. Let's see, let me grab this and come down here and change this to be report 6. Go back to the button and we're printing, let's see, what are we doing here? We're printing the, CSV. And save this and run it. And now when we print this, let's change this to, instead of production mode, we'll call this production CSV, and that'll be number 9. And this will automatically have that CSV file extension on the end of it because we changed that in the report header. And now when I go back to my File Explorer, which is over here, bring this back down in line, you can see that CSV. Now, one of the things to note is, in this case, the CSV file extension is associated on my computer with Excel. And if I just double-click on this, it will open it up in Excel, and it will not use those commas to delimit the different columns. You can see the commas are in there. If I close this document but keep Excel open, and if I use the file open and tell it, instead of using the Excel file format, if I tell it to look for the CSV file format, when I open that up, and I have to navigate to my project here, when I open up that file, it will prompt me with a text import wizard, and it'll give me the choices of how is that delimited. Is it fixed width, or is it delimited with characters? In this case, mine's delimited with characters. I'll go to the next section, and then I can choose how is that delimited. It could be a comma with a space or no space. It could be other characters, and so there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I'll say next, finish, and then what's happened now is it's actually used that comma to delineate when that data goes into the next column in there. So you can see how that those difference in those techniques of opening up as an Excel file, a .xls file, or in Excel format, or using the text import wizard and opening up with the different columns there. So hopefully that's a good explanation, and maybe there's some light bulbs going off over people's heads saying, oh, that's why that does that. So, all right, so moving along, let's go back to my PowerPoint. And okay, so let's get into some flexible HTML reporting. We can get tables and graphics and things like that in here. And what I'm going to do is I know it didn't work earlier, and I'm not sure why, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go steal out of that PC demo the HTML report format in here, because what this does is this puts a logo in here. It puts, I'm not going to have that logo, so the logo won't show up, but it's going to put a title, it's going to change the font, and then it's going to make a table with a couple of different colors, alternating lines, and then it's going to put the Boolean tag blink slow, an analog value, my computer name, and then it's going to close up the table and close up the HTML. So again, I'm not going to have that logo, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this HTML out of here, go back to the webinar project that I was working on, and go back in, and I guess what I'll do is I will open this up, paste it in here, and I will save this as .html, and I'll change this description so we can see it, HTML. Over here, and then now we'll save this as report number 7. You don't have to use this numbering technique that I'm using. It's just making it easier for me to build on these commands as I go. You can call those really whatever you want to. And we'll save that and close that, and then we'll give ourselves a way to print this. Again, the logo's not going to work, but you'll get the idea. And I'm just going to copy this over here. And now we're going to print, oh, my memory's fading fast as I get older. Let's see, that was report number 7. And I'm going to change the text on here. This is HTML. Save this screen, run this project. And now I'm going to print that and bring my File Explorer in from off screen over here. And what you can see somewhere in here is it's created, I didn't have a name in there, so it's just .html again. So let's create production HTML. I don't remember what number we were on. We'll just use 9. We'll try that again. We'll switch back to it, and there's my, I already had a 9, but fortunately I changed the name on there. If I double click on that, it's associated with Internet Explorer. Again, the graphic didn't show up, but you can see how it's starting to now take shape as a little bit better looking report. I've used this table, I've got the name of my PC in there, and so on and so forth. And so now what I want to do is I want to get a little bit more advanced and show you how to do something even nicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this same concept, but instead of this HTML, I'm going to replace it with some HTML that I have saved off screen. Now this is something that I helped a customer with a couple of years ago, and I used just an HTML editor that was what you see is what you get, a WYSIWYG editor that you could also export the actual HTML code. And what I did here is put this, and what this does is it creates an invoice. And so it changes fonts, and I'm not by any means an expert in HTML, but just to show you what this is doing is this is taking the logo that's going to be in the project folder, and it's making some tables, and I've got some addresses in here, and here's my addresses that I put into those class tags. So here I have the address structure set up in the class tag, and then the project tag we created a build to and ship to that I have preloaded with some names and addresses in here. And so now when we run this, and I'm going to save this as report 8, and this is not going to be the production report, this is going to be an invoice. And we'll save that. So now we can see that that's our invoice here. So again, that's report number 8. And just to show you real quick that InduSoft logo, what I had done before we started this webinar today is in my project folder, I put the InduSoft logo in there. And so it's going to reference that as an image. And this is, if you're familiar with HTML, this is one way that I can get at an image here. And so I should be able to save that. And I'm going to copy this button and change the button to report number 8. And go back and change this to invoice. And now when we save this and run it, and I'm going to change this to invoice, we'll call that invoice 10, and print that now. And I closed my File Explorer again. Bear with me a second. Apologize for doing that all the time. Fortunately, I can get back to it fairly quickly. And so there's my invoice, and again, it's because it's HTML, it's in my computer, it's associated with Internet Explorer, but there's the invoice, complete with the logo, the bill to, the ship to. Now, these were all tags that came in that I preloaded in. There's my ticket number, my shipper number, and if you remember, I think I preloaded those. In fact, let me go in here and choose ticket number. You can see that that's 1234, and that's where I got that ticket number 1234. Put that in there, so you can create some nice looking reports or invoices and get those out to a printer. And just to show you another step of this, one of the things that I showed in this morning's webinar was a project that I did with a customer a while back, and this was an HTML report. Let's see, what do we call it here? Take this another step further is with a trend. And what I did on this one is, in addition to printing the report with just text, very similar to what we just did, I also embedded in the report, I also embedded not only a logo, but let me see if I can find this here. I also embedded a trend output JPEG. And if I go back and I look at my screen, on my screen I have a trend object, and in the advanced section of the trend, I'm using these tags and I'm generating a trend output.jpg that's a snapshot of that trend that I embed into that report. So let's see how this works. If I close this, cancel that, go ahead and run. So now I'm going to make some adjustments here on my trend so we can get some values in here. I'm going to select a customer. We'll call it Big Cow. So we've got Big Cow Farms. I can export that picture that exported that snapshot. I'm going to print my report, which is what we've been doing all along through the rest of the webinar. And now I'm going to open up another screen with that report in it. And what you should be able to see here is this is an ActiveX that's an Internet Explorer ActiveX. And so I can open up that HTML page right inside of my project. And so that's a real nice handy way that I can generate some reports and see those on screen and give you some good ideas on how to do that. So let's go ahead and get out of this now. I'll stop that project. Let's see. The reason I went there was to show you the embedding of that trend and the ActiveX Internet Explorer. So if you want to know how to do that, we actually do that in the training classes as well. All right, so we're getting near the end here, and we did tables, we have graphics, we can put links in there. I did the invoice example. I showed you the trend graphic. Some other ideas. There is a built-in scripting command that will give you a screenshot, much the same way that we just did this with the trend. You could embed the screenshot inside of the report. I haven't tried this, but I'm giving you an idea of something to try. dbexecute is one of our database commands. I think the potential exists. I'm not sure why it wouldn't work, but to be able to query a SQL database and be able to put the result right immediately inside that report, I think that will happen. In addition to that, hang on just a second here. Sorry about that, needed a drink of water. In addition to printing with the PDF as part of the function of the report, we also have a built-in function called PDF Create. And if you take a look at the help system, this gives you an opportunity to use that PDF Create that we'll use the built-in PDF writer that we have, and different file types. We can actually tell it to take a document or a report and convert it and print it to a printer. And in addition to that, one of the things that you could do is you could configure an email server using this or a script command that we have, and then using a built-in function that we have. Let me go back to the help system here. One of the built-in functions, or a set of built-in functions that we have, are email functions, and this send email extended, the last parameter in here is file attachments. So you could send emails with PDF or text or report attachments and send them out based on conditions, the end of the day, the end of the shift, things of that nature. You can get those sent out. So that's a great opportunity to as a way to do that. So I mentioned PDF Create and email. Other resources, I've been talking about PC Demo, and some things to mention. You know, the InduSoft reporting tools are very flexible, but still sometimes we have people that want to do more. So what we've done is we've partnered with, and I'm going to open up the InduSoft web site and go to our store here and take a look at third-party add-ons. There's a company that we've worked with, and we've actually have previous webinars for a product from Ocean Data Systems called Dream Report. And Dream Report will allow you to have some graphics and embed things in there a little bit differently. A little bit different tool. We have some people that want the ability to use those tools. So if you have the needs for that, we've got a great webinar that we did a while back, and give you all the documentation and all that. And here's actually the webinar that we did a while back. So if you need more tools than what the InduSoft tools have to offer, that's something that we have in there as well. And we have a previous webinar that we did, and we can also show you the training videos. And of course, I just took the website off screen here. So if we go to the training navigation, online training videos, one of the things that you'll find is we have about 40 different videos covering all the different topics in the product. And as you scroll down here, one of the ones that you'll find is the reports. So that'll show you how to do a lot of what we just covered, maybe even a little bit more. So there's things covering reports. Question came in, does PDF create support HTML? I have used it with HTML and gotten it to work. I don't know if we claim that it works. One of the things that I have had happen that's a little bit of an issue is sometimes the PDF writer will pop up a thing that says, are you sure you want to print this, or something like that, and that'll be under the InduSoft application. But we might have changed that. I know that there was a work item to change that. So if you have the need to print HTML as a PDF, I would say go ahead and give it a try, and because I have used it and it has worked for me. But I know it has had in the past, maybe 2 years ago or so, it had some problems. So hopefully that answers your question and solves a potential issue for you. At this point, if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them or give my best shot to answer those. While we wait, if there's any other questions coming in, just want to leave you with this: how to contact InduSoft. And if you have support questions or need some information, feel free to contact us at info@indusoft.com for salesy type questions and support@indusoft.com for support type questions. You can always give us a call. You can also go on our website and chat and do an online chat. That's some people like to do that. And hopefully this webinar has been good information for you. We really appreciate your time and everybody attending these webinars. These are for you, and we try to make them good information. If you have any suggestions for us when you get the survey, let us know how we're doing, and let us know if any topics that you'd like to see in future webinars. So I don't see any other questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar. And again, I'd like to thank everybody's attendance, and go ahead and have a great day, and let us know if there's any other webinars you'd like to see in the future. Thanks. Have a great day.